beginning, I was invited here to teach you how to make a website, and the time allocated for me was 3 hours. I've always spoken that you can make a website on Edicy in seconds, so I was thinking hard how to fill up the rest of the time. But let's make a compromise. I'm not talking just about Edicy. I'm instead talking about making a website approaching to one of the main channels of marketing of your company in general. And we're not making a workshop where everyone builds a website on their own. I'm just going it through because there is no internet, the first time in the history of Estonia, I guess. Okay. First, about the company. Who am I? What is it? It's the simplest way to create a multilingual website in the world. It's super simple, super quick. It's understandable for your grandmother. It's focused on the people who live outside of the computers, who have real lives, not coding or developing some kind of geeky stuff. And it's multilingual. So Der Spiegel, one of the biggest newspapers in the world, calls Edicy the tool that you can't go around if you want to make a multilingual website, a website that is in more than one language. And it's focused on the businesses. So here are the people building businesses, and here's a website builder for building business websites. And it works well on mobile out of the box. It's not only for the old school desktop stuff. And here's how it looks like. Everything about Edicy is taken into as little, as little footprint as possible. Your website is in the focus, and Edicy is just a tiny thing helping you to edit your website. And that's why you did Edicy. That's why you started Edicy. Businesses, not private persons. Marketing-oriented, not just creating another website. And multilingual, not for Americans who only have one language. Edicy is unique. It's probably the most well-designed website builder. It's made so that you don't notice it. It just works under your hand. It's flexible. Some listed companies use it. Some $100 million yearly revenue companies use it. But it's made for small companies. So in the end, in a large company, the same human beings work on the website as in the small companies. And the marketing orientedness is the main focus that we are digging into. It helps you analyze the traffic. Soon it will help you A/B test the different versions of your website. And here's where we are. We're very small. We don't fill in the revenue map of American startups yet, but we're looking very big. Every time there's a talk about a website builder, then among the 5, 6, there's always Edicy because it's so great. So we only need to scale the revenues. The image is already very big. We are founded by some of the best people in the Nordics in design and backend development of web applications, and we're backed by one of the co-founders of Skype, Toivo Annus. This is the wizard who's behind the technology in Edicy, and he's a unique guy. He he's not just a developer, he's also a designer and usability guy. So he, in one person, there's three people, so paying a salary to one man, but getting work done for 3 people is very, very good. This is me. I can't say how good I am, so let's continue. This is the founding father of Estonian startup scene. Everyone knows him. Okay, but let's now continue to the real thing. How businesses are built. The first thing every business needs after being registered is business cards and a website and an email. And building a website is probably the most challenging part. It's the marketing channel. It's not just a do it once and get it done thing. It's a live living ecosystem, and you need to get it done quickly and right. So there are some principles how to approach this task without wasting all the money of your friends and family and other fools. You need to do it yourself. You need to understand that only when you, the one who knows the business you're doing, you need to be in the center. Website is the focal thing of every business, and being involved in building it from ground up is the responsibility of every small business owner. You learn by it, and you can hire other people on the way, but you need to understand the logics yourself. It's as with every other part of startup life, making a website or getting a design for a website is similar to it's about making 80% of the ideal or perfect result, which takes 20% of the time. If you would push further, you would just waste a lot of time for the last fine-tuning. It's about getting things out and done very quickly, and by conventions rather than trying to invent another bicycle. And a good thing about websites is that, unlike car manufacturers, you can fail. You can do some mistakes. You can have errors. You can make the changes the next day or the same hour, and you don't need to call back all the cars that have been manufactured in the meantime with that error. It's really simple. The best way to learn, make it quickly and correct the errors that have come on the way. What do you need to get the website done? In the old times, you needed hosting. You needed to have some tech guys building some content management system and running it, updating it, worrying about the security, customizing it, paying enormous bills for the custom developments in the future, as they needed to be updated for your company only. But now it's an ecosystem of different web services that build up your website. You don't need to host anything. You don't need to customize the backend. You can build everything without any tech knowledge. So the basic 3 steps of creating the simplest website is first to get the website itself done, and then testing different versions to convert your website traffic into buyers, or whatever is your core business, to bring the traffic from your website into revenues in the end. To track different ways, which are to find a way which it's working the best, and to analyze the data on the run. So there are 3 kinds of tools that make up the basics of a website ecosystem. But how to get the first part right? If the other parts are more like just tracking and analyzing in your head, then the first part, building the website, consists of a variety of different tasks. And how to get a team? One of the ways is to go to a web agency and let them build everything under your command. The other way is to take the lead and only hire those people that are really missing from your team. For example, if you need a I didn't write it there. If you need a copywriter, if you are really unable to write down your thoughts in a readable manner, then you need a copywriter who will take your ideas into a readable short text. And you go and get that on Elance or Odesk. If you need a designer, you go to Defolio or 99 Designs. You can hire people for a short selected period of time for doing that simple task. You don't need to actually, you don't need, for the very first phase of your website, you don't need to have your own unique design, your own photos, your own illustrations. There are different stocks where you can get all the necessary resources, and you get your costs down from the when it was in the beginning of 2000s, and I was in the website building business. Stuff like that costs something like 1,000 times more than now. It's but you're still able to waste your money if you don't learn, if you don't go and find those resources that are out there. Now let's take a look into the key part of a website, or the how to say the basics, or the basement of the website is design. If you are a large company enough, if you have already the revenues, you are making profits, then you can't go very far with a standard template. Then you need to build something that is unique for you, not just for the sake of uniqueness, but because because of the face of your company, you want to convert the traffic in a unique way into buyers. So it means you need to lay it out on a website in a unique way. So all in all, when you start as a small company, you can get it running with standard mass designs, but you need to bring it into a unique design later on. And how that works. To be a good design buyer, you need to understand the basics, which are pretty simple. The first thing is that design is not art. I have heard too many times that, oh yeah, we need to hire that artist too who will make the design for the website, or that we don't have a large budget, we don't need design, let's continue without design. Design is not art. Design is laying out functions in a usable way for the user. It's all about engineering. It's visual engineering. And why design is important is that it leads to revenue growth, or it leads to revenue. When you think about design as art, then there, of course, can't be a logical connection. But when you think about design as converting a function into an understandable form for the user, then it starts to make sense. Design is usability, but it's also a value proposition. If you build the design in you can build a design that tells the user if it's a cheap product or valuable product. Design can make a difference in the revenues, a major difference in the revenues. And the point is that it's just a multiplier. If your company is making no revenues, then design alone won't change a thing. But if there's a working model, if there's a product that someone needs, then design is laying design on this product makes a difference. It changes some percentage. For example, Amazon has for years worked on their single-click buying button, a small button on their website. They have put in thousands of design hours to make this button convert. And it would be unreasonable for small shops. But for Amazon, it's about making difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars, because their revenue is billions of dollars, and it's just a small percentage that changes. But this percentage can make a difference of thousands of people on the payroll, can pay salaries. The best example I have seen about the role, how design makes a difference in revenues, is a use case of, how to call it, Jacek Utka, a designer of Bonnier newspapers, business newspapers. It's a European, pan-European chain, a media corporation. And they're, for example, Äripäev in Estonia belongs to that group. And the designers, together with this guy, made an important change in the revenues, up to 100%. The number of newspapers sold each day. And you see, it was flat. It hadn't any approach up, but the design made a significant change in all the countries where it was introduced. It's on TED.com. You can see the video, quite fascinating. The bad part of being a designer is when someone comes up with an idea that let's design a logo. It's totally useless crap if you don't have hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. Go and write it down with some font you find in the internet. It doesn't really matter. It's rather simple to make a beautiful logo in 1 minute, like there on the left, or 5 minutes, like here, this brand. It's about the context. It's always everything about the context. The logo itself doesn't matter really. If you look at the large corporations, they of course have the money, they have the small change that comes from the logo change, but it's never actually about the logo change itself, it's about changing the whole brand. And there is no need for extensive branding for a small company. So first thing you do, forget about logo design until you are really rich, then go for it. Till then, make a logo out of text and colors, done. Second thing you need to forget are committees. You need one guy from there, pick it, and he will do the job. He will be together with the designer and work it out. The rest, either fired or given a proper job. A committee, there's a really great saying, camel is a horse designed by a committee. You want to put in all the different ideas, everyone is welcome, let's do it democratically. It's all about authoritarianism. All the business is about making decisions on the top and forgetting about the rest, basically. Let's not get into the detail. Okay, I'm not saying that that aesthetics are bad. As I was saying, design is not art. Design is never art. But aesthetics are important, but they are not a goal on their own. For example, I hope this is the slide. One is the famous chair from Aivar Aalto, and here is a Rococo chair. They both have one function, sitting. If that's the function, then this is total crap. But if there are other functions, and hopefully there are, then there can be a reason for making all that decoration. But you are not in that phase. You're a startup. Start lean. You will not survive by doing stuff like this. It's not only about design. It's everywhere. But design is a great way to visualize how you need to think. And how the design basics in context of web look like are really very simple. Let's go them through. The first thing about design, web design, is layout. You need to be very simple. It's like talking to a small child. Design should talk to a small child. You keep the focus on one thing. You're not trying to say many things at a time. You keep layout simple. You don't want to build a website that is made out of circles, for example. You don't need to invent a bicycle. Never. The best design in web is actually very boring. If you look at it mathematically, it's just a grid. It's synchronous boxes, in a way. But our eyes look this kind of order. It finds aesthetics in the order. So if you look at it mathematically, it's a bit sad that a great design is very, very basic. But if you look at it, if you look at the design, then you don't need to think about it. It just works in a very basic form. Here's an example of how web is designed. You put everything. You put the simple messages in the focus. You focus everything on the first screen. and that's it. It's one of the ways to build a front page of a website. It's a grid focusing on the, sorry for the typo, you're focusing on the illustration or simple messages. And if you go further, where you have one topic in focus on the sub menu, then you really don't need anything other than just linear website. When you go to when a client goes to a designer, then he will look at the design like this and say, okay, that's nice, but we have room here, empty space, let's put banners here. And we have room here, let's put some partner logos here, and let's make the text smaller so we can have more of it here, and so on and so on. Basically, try to keep simple, try to be linear, and rather than 3 columns, use 1 if possible. And another way of doing it, sorry for Estonian, is rather than from top, nowadays interfaces are moving from left to right. Here's one example of that. And here's an example of how you can do an empty state of a design. Rather than say nothing found in the left top corner, you can be playful. You can fill the screen with that simple information and make it more appealing by that. Design in web is about converting. It's about getting the users into the funnel where they convert from traffic to sign up, from sign up to a paid customer. And therefore, the main thing you need to do is to call for action, to put basically one button, the buying button, in the middle. If I'm saying it very simply. So instead of giving choices, instead of giving different choices, try to give one choice. And if you have one choice, then it's then there's no confusion. You're most probably getting the conversion. This was one example of how one of Estonian large telecoms was building its website around so that you have everything that was before on 15 different pages was set on one page, and there was one button to click, and they increased conversions 70% from one front page only. Another important thing, when we're talking about design, then we tend to forget that copy, text, is also part of design. Whether it's long text or small text, whether you have different sizes of headings, text is a powerful tool for designing. And why it's important, most of you here aren't designers. You only need to understand the basics, but you are not designers, so you're not going to design anyway. But you are going to write copy, most probably. And that's the part of design that you need to take responsibility for on your own, if you are at least a bit able. You can make a huge change with copy. For example, in the up, there's it's just an example. You can have a way of deleting like that in the top, and you can just say one single thing on the button. So a rule of thumb, if you are making buttons, write verbs on buttons, and instead of 3 words, use 1. And it's more convenient. It's converting much more quickly. If you need long texts, then try to make them in readable form. For example, if you look at the newspapers that are printed, they're always in short columns instead of being a long line of text. It's cut into short columns, so it's much more comfortable for the reader to go it through. It converts better. And all in all, you can just forget about long texts. It's much easier to write short text. It takes less time, it converts better, it looks better, so why the hell, if you're not Balzac, go for the right one. And the main rule of design is if you have three different designs, then deciding upon them which one to take and thinking for a long time is unnecessary. Just pick one and go. You can come back to it later. You can always just get it done, which works so much better than not getting it done. You can always come back to the decision later. And the quickest way to get the design for a website done is to sit together with the designer. Most of the designers don't want to work side by side at client offices, but there are some, and it's so much more efficient. There are some examples that are a design built in one day, a whole website actually. This one was a full website built in 7 hours from scratch. So it's just a website. It's nothing fancy. It will not get huge awards, but it's much better than blank screen. So 7 hours, done.
Excuse me, are there also your clients? Right. Do they use Edicy also? Yes.
Yes. So as I mentioned before, getting a website done is a continuous process. A website, in terms of getting good listing in Google, is updated website. So you really can't get it done and forget. You need to get it done and done and done all the time. You need to work with the content, and you need to work with the content for testing which content is best. A/B testing. Just before Ingvar told me or reminded me a good old example of A/B testing. In Silicon Valley, there's an old way of doing, or an old practice. If you're too lazy to build a startup, go instead and build a teaser page for a new service online. So you just need to think out a business idea. You put an email box and notify me when your product is ready. And you put up 5 of those, 5 of the best ideas you can come up to, and then you go and test which ones get the most signups or future signups. And if some of them really takes off, then go and do that startup. It's much less time. It's something like 100,000 times less time wasted. So A/B testing in real life or websites, doesn't matter, do it. And now, actually, the final part of my presentation. As we don't have net here, and then people are not sitting with a computer, so I'm just going to show it through how building a website works on Edicy. What's the difference? It takes only a few seconds. Before that, who is Edicy meant for? As I said, it's mainly for small companies living offline. So startups doing some kind of web service usually should end up with their own platform, but getting started with the website is probably wiser on Edicy rather than getting a hosting, setting up a WordPress and so on, because you're anyway going to build your own system later on. And it's really good for web developers who do client work, because it's the most flexible system. You can do all kinds of websites on Edicy, all kinds of design. It's not, unlike the competition, it doesn't keep you in standard templates. Yeah, but that's how we do it. You go to edicy.com, you sign up, you get your website like this in a few seconds. Edicy is only that little text formatting box and the bottom bar, basically. You can do everything on screen like you're used to in Word. You can change the standard designs because you won't build a new design right away. You won't need it. You just pick one example. To work with the content, you just drag files into the file bar and throw them into the content after they are uploaded. So just in seconds, a website looks like this. Not much designed, works well enough. Yeah, so it doesn't take much more time than the presenting it has taken. And then you get your domain name. Either you already have it registered on some other service, or you go and buy it from here. It searches for local domains too, not just generic ones. And you can buy them and activate them right here, right now. And now, when the website is done, actually it is done, the domain is there, the content is there, you can send it to live. Then the real work starts. The testing, the building of better content, more usable or useful content, and analyzing the statistics. Hardcore statistics is always analyzed with Google Analytics or tools like that, but basic useful live statistics are well inside Edicy. It's an example how it looks like after the site has taken off. You see the number of visitors here. You can point them out on the map. You can see the global reach of your visitors and analyze what kind of sources they came from. And if you're done with the simple stuff, then your freelance designer or web developer will build a custom design using such thing. This is something that I usually don't show to anyone because this is complex. This is not simple. But here I show it as here are future startuppers and existing startuppers, and you have some developers in your team mostly. And you can build pretty complex stuff like this customer has, where there are databases of different legal areas, practice areas, different locations of their offices, different people, different publications, all bound into one browsable, simple database. So it's so you can start off in seconds, but you can grow into a $100 million business on Edicy if you are not making a web service like Facebook or Twitter. Then of course you will have your own platform built. That wasn't 3 hours.
Very good. Thank you, Tõnu. If you have questions about Edicy, about building a website, you should try at home Edicy. It's really, you can try without paying anything. Yes?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you can try it and you start loving it. I'm working with Edicy for, I don't know, 8 months now, and can't live without it. But anyway, if you have questions, then I can give you a mic. No. I have one question. I know that you have answer for that as well. In Edicy, you can customize, and as you said, you need maybe external help to do so.
Yeah.
And I take another product which people might know is a WordPress, and there is like a huge gallery of plugins what you can plug in, and it works and so on. Why Edicy don't have it, or you're not having it yet, or do you have some opinion about making that if people want, they can make their website complicated? But you are in a way not helping to do so.
You don't need 99% of WordPress plugins for once, and we are, instead of having plugins, we are having integrated tools that work in a way. It's like the difference of Android and iOS. That in Android you can completely customize it by being a hacker, but in iOS you have one platform built by one company. And then only the app layer is how to say, is developed by different people, but all the groundwork is built by Apple, and they are adding new layers. For example, those reminders, to-do lists, calendars. They are taking more and more out of those apps and making them in a much more sensible way. So you don't need those outside plugins if you have created an integrated system with the best choices of those. But all in all, using WordPress is pretty wise if you are a developer, a hardcore developer, and need to build a streamlined process through different applications. It's one of the main reasons to use WordPress. If you don't need how to say, if you don't need a fully unique platform, but rather some apps supporting the website, like Zero Turnaround has built. They have all kinds of very, very specific tasks built behind WordPress, and then that you can't do with Edicy. Most of the companies don't need it. And the second reason why you should use WordPress is when you're a hardcore blogger, then there Edicy will never be as good as WordPress.
So it's not about blog.
It's not about personal blogging, yeah. It's not a online magazine publishing platform.
Any other questions? No. In this case, I thank you, Tõnu, and I have a present also for you, which you are most definitely familiar with, Click and Crew. I don't know if you have it at home already.
Now I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.